Hello again, Kevin Culp back at you, PM Head of Cloud Management Solutions, continuing our podcast on monitoring an AI factory. Today, we're going to look at in our lab support, complete lifecycle support for the rear door exchanger. And so, right here, I'm on the landing page, and this support, lifecycle management support phase one for rear door exchanger is going to be provided in the version 3.11 code stream, which will soon be released in a couple of weeks. So let's get into it. Let's log into our platform here. We're going to come in as global admin and plug in our password here. And then we should be able to get connected into our dashboard. And what we're going to do here is on the menu options here, we're going to come under the menu of cooling infrastructure. You can see here we've opened up two new types of menu options, one for sidecar and one for rear door exchanger. So in the next video, we'll focus on lifecycle management for sidecar. Today, we're going to focus on rear door exchanger. So the first thing we're going to do is click on the rear door exchanger option. And you can see here, we have a rear door exchanger list here, one, and that is in our list here. And I want to emphasize importance here in regards to the groupings and how we basically associate a asset such as a rear door exchanger and also a sidecar to a rack or a pod. And so we talked about in the previous video the data center assets that are part of our DCBBS initiative here, and this is one of them, the rear door exchanger here that we're providing here for day 0 through day 2 lifecycle management for a rear door exchanger. So on the left hand side here, you can see here that we've broken down on our tree view our architecture. And you can see here that we have a little icon here to represent our rear door exchanger. And then you can see here it's part of the group name. So this is really just a rear door exchanger that's associated with a rack, which is basically the default option. If you were looking at it from a standpoint of a group, then you would see this maybe perhaps defined as um, a GPU tenant cloud or a AI inferencing model or application that specifically you grouped these together within the pod view itself, right, which is up here. And so we can click on here under pod view, and we can see here under the rack configuration, which is the default, a number of racks that are provided are not associated with any group. Okay, so they are basically individual racks, and we associate an in-row CDU, a rear door exchanger, and then also a sidecar to those group of racks that we actually define. But in this case, we're actually defaulted to a rack configuration. You can see here in the previous video where we talked about our AI initiative and bringing in support for GB300. That is part of another video stream that we provided in a podcast of bringing in support for GB300 use cases. And of course, that particular previous version that's out there on the website today supports lifecycle management for GB200. So in this version, we're actually bringing in a version 3.11 support for GB300 as the use case. So you can scan through here, and this shows you this is an example of an in-rack CDU that's associated with the GB300 or NVL72 configuration. And then you can see here also our rear door exchanger with the SKU name and its IP address. And then we also have PDUs, which we're not going to talk about today in this particular use case. So if you look at the test option here for rear door exchanger, then we're going to click there, and you can see here we have a couple of servers associated with that rear door exchanger, what happens to be a DC cloud type of platform or hyper platform in there within the rack. But let's go back to the coolant infrastructure and look at our lifecycle management associated with the rear door exchanger. And so if we click on here, we can see the front and rear view of the rear door exchanger. Now, this image here is going to be replaced with a Visio stencil here. Eventually, we're just basically building that right now and getting it completed so that we'll load it into the front end and you'll have a better illustration of what the rear door exchanger looks at from a front and rear view. On the right-hand side, you can see here physical assets, right? So information that's important to the rear door exchanger, such as firmware version, if the manufacturer is Supermicro, the health state of that particular rear door exchanger, and its connection state is managed. And then we have other serial information. And then on the top here, you can see here the various different sensor datas that are being presented within the carousel view at a high level. So remember, we talked about if you place your mouse into that carousel view, the scrolling will stop so you can take a look at what kind of sensor data is being exposed. And then by clicking out of the carousel view, you can start the scrolling and it would continue. So the scrolling is about 5-second intervals, and so we feel that's a pretty good value here to be able to, with a quick glance of the eye, you can pretty much see those sensor data that are important for providing that lifecycle management so that you can make those data-driven decisions. On the right-hand side here, we can click into the actual BMC of the rear door exchanger and look at other metadata there that we choose to look at. We try to keep you contained, obviously, in the enterprise platform here for scale, right? So that you don't have to click into each one of those rear door exchangers to get the metadata you need to make those data-driven decisions. All right. So we're going to click here on the navigation view, and the navigation view is going to open up sensor data associated with the rear door exchanger. And here we're going to see other various information here that's currently available, and the water detection alarm is set to good. So remember, this is a very primitive kind of sensor data that we're releasing in the phase 1 approach. As we continue to build in phase 2 and phase 3, we'll see a lot more interesting features that are be built into this rear door exchanger. So that, in a nutshell, really talks and provides you with an understanding of the rear door exchanger and what we're offering here in our first phase of deployment. Thanks for joining today. You have a great day, and we'll see you next time.